Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are back with some more Genshin Impact, and today we'll be continuing the Inazuma Festival event. And yeah, last video was pretty interesting. We had quite the ordeal with Xingqiu and his books being stolen. And yeah, today we have like 3 more chapters to do. I'm not sure how many chapters I'll be doing this one, but um, we'll just see. So let's just get it started.
It's already time for us to be at the docks. Let's go!
Let's go!
Arrival schedule says ship stopover, 1 person. Does that mean we're only welcoming 1 guest today?
1 person.
Look, that figure on the wharf. It looks like Kazuha.
It's Kazuha!
Greetings, Traveler in Paimon. I heard there would be guides for the Irodori Festival, but I didn't expect it would be you two.
We didn't expect to see you either. Returning as a guest for the Irodori Festival, no doubt.
I was a little surprised myself when I received the invitation. But after wandering the outside world for so long, it's good to have an opportunity to return to my homeland and pay respects to my old friends.
Kazuha, when we saw you in the distance just now, you seemed to be looking for something. What happened?
Ah, yes. You see, when I came off the boat with everyone just now, I suddenly heard light footsteps around me.
Uh-huh.
I could tell they were not footsteps of a regular passenger. But by the time I turned around, the person had already disappeared. I only heard a splash come from below the pier.
What?
Even though I didn't manage to catch a glimpse of them, I found this strange piece of paper by my feet.
They just dove under the water?
Does the paper happen to have a poem written on it?
Huh. How did you know?
It's a lost story, girl. Oh! I guess we'll just tell you.
Fascinating. It's almost hard to believe such things could happen.
Right? Can you show us that piece of paper, please?
Sure. Here it is. Please, have a look.
Akahito. Long have I been famed, and since my youth I have had great ambition. Uh-huh.
Last time, Aoi no Okina's poem ended with a reference to Akahito. And sure enough, this is a story about him. The story this time basically says that Akahito got his name from his love of red seals. However, the Shogun discovered that he had committed plagiarism, and he was soon exiled. Well, if Paimon were to rate today's story, it sounds pretty unfortunate.
Well, the other stories weren't much better either.
I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with this story. I too was once wanted as a criminal by the shogunate. So I'm not all that different from Akahito mentioned in this story.
But according to the story, Akahito was exiled by the Shogun because of his wrongdoings. You did nothing wrong, Kazuha.
He did. He didn't give up his vision.
Huh? Traveler, what are you thinking about?
Maybe it can help Xingqiu?
Ah, by the way, you mentioned that your friend has been struggling because he's unable to sign his name quickly, right?
Yeah.
In Liyue and Inazuma, there is a saying, that which has been stamped has also been signed. Perhaps using a seal could be a feasible solution.
Oh, like a stamp?
While sailing at sea, I sometimes carve things to pass the time. If you wish to create a stamp for his seal, I might be able to help.
Oh.
Wow, that's an idea. Quick, let's go tell Albedo.
Let's go. Here we are, Act 3.
Albedo, we figured out a way to help Shincho.
Meet Kazuha. Oh.
Interesting. A story of the 5 Kasen appears again, and with a timely solution. Stamped seal, huh? Let me think. Indeed, it is an efficient solution. If we use a stamp, then Xingqiu won't have to struggle with his handwriting anymore. However, since Xingqiu's signature has been previously revealed to the readers, it would seem insincere if he only used the stamped seal for his new books. But I have another idea. Using a seal is a part of it, of course. Let's go to Ouya restaurant now to discuss my idea with everyone.
Yes, that's it, Jinyu. Your writing has greatly improved today, which
Oh.
means yesterday's intensive training was effective.
My apologies, but I simply can't do it anymore. My hands are so sore that I can't even move them anymore. I should have known better than to read novels during calligraphy class.
Oh.
This is getting scary. It hasn't even been that long and Shincho's already zombified.
Zombified?
Mr. Hiroyama, we found a solution that might just solve our dilemma. In both Liyue and Inazuma, seals are widely used as the equivalents of a signature. If we use a stamp to leave the author's seal on the books, then we could make the signature process a lot easier. Of course, a seal on its own is not enough. So, I propose that each signature consists of 2 parts. First, we'll use a personalized seal. We can simply carve one using Chenyu's signature as the design.
I was about to say.
In addition, I'll also design a simple but elegant pattern that's easy for Chenyu to write. That way, he will only need to draw a simple pattern on each book.
Let me think. All right, I think that would work. Not only does it still involve the author's own handwriting, but the result should be very beautiful as well.
Great! Looks like everyone's on board with the idea.
I'm sorry to have kept you busy for so long, Jinyu. Please, take the next few days to have a good rest. We'll handle everything from here. The books that Jinyu already signed can be used as special prizes in future events held by the Eye Publishing House.
We still have some time to burn. Where should we go next?
Ugh.
Traveler, there you are.
Ayaka.
Oh, it's Ayaka! And Venti! That's an interesting combo.
That's what I said.
I was just going to the festival venue to prepare the Ikebana lesson when I found a strange piece of paper on a flower stand.
You found one too?
This bard just happened to be close by at the time. He informed me that you've also found similar papers recently. As such, we came together to find you two.
But the paper she found isn't quite the same as the ones we found before.
What?
Here's the paper. Please, have a look.
Sumizome? I submerged the verses into clear water and the truth did emerge. Say what?
Huh. All the poems we found before were roughly the same length. But this one is only 2 lines.
And even though there are only 2 short sentences, neither of them are next to the title or centered on the page. The position of the writing seems to indicate that there is other content written on this paper besides these 2 lines.
If we take the poem literally, it reads, "Dip this paper in water and see the truth naturally appear." Speaking of which, I have an ancient text at home, specializing in ancient and exotic stories. It mentions a special ink that will show itself when wet and disappear when it's dry.
What?
So, shall we give it a whirl? It just so happens that there's a pond nearby.
Xingqiu, you literally have a hydro vision. Use it.
Wow, look! It's really working! More words have appeared on the paper!
Going over his poetry, I found that the plagiarized piece did not have his scarlet seal. I submerged the verses into clear water and the truth did emerge. The true verses were not washed away, but the text of the despicable crime faded. Interesting.
The story says that after Sumizomi got the collection of poems from Akihito and put them into a stream of water, the plagiarized words in the poem became blurry. Huh? Why would that happen?
You see, Paimon, in the past, when printing was not yet well developed, handwritten text could easily become smudged in books when exposed to moisture. To ensure the text lasted longer, they'd either write using a special ink or coat the paper's surface with a waterproof coating once the writing was finished.
Uh-huh.
Such special inks are time-consuming and laborious to produce, and the waterproof coating could also prove just as difficult. However, since Akihito's poetry collection was an important gift to be presented to the shogun, surely one of those 2 methods was used to protect it. But as for the plagiarized poems, not only would they lack Akihito's seal, but the words would also react differently when exposed to liquid.
He was added later by someone else.
Which means Akihito didn't plagiarize his work. He was set up.
Yes, it appears that this is the truth that Sumizome's story is trying to convey. Although the story is saddening, I've decided on the subjects to use for Akihito and Sumizome's portraits. Kazuha, Ayaka,
Oh.
would you be willing to be the models for my paintings?
I would be delighted.
Yes, as would I.
Oh my god. I love them so much.
There you go. The next 2 portraits should be ready in no time.
Yes. And now that all 4 stories have all been collected, the story of the 5 Kasen is now fully completed.
Is it really?
Long ago, Inazuma had 5 legendary poets. People bestowed upon them the title of the 5 Kasen.
One year, the poet Suiko made his way to Tenshukaku and presented the Kasen's work for the shogun's perusal. But a page from the works of Aoi no Okina had been torn out, and Suiko was questioned regarding the matter. Suiko pleaded guilty. He admitted to drinking at the tavern the night before, and vaguely recalled a mysterious figure approaching while he was intoxicated.
That figure was none other than Aoi no Okina himself. This turn of events had begun with an unnamed individual, under whose coercion, Aoi no Okina was forced to take drastic measures to retrieve a page of poetry. He knew nothing of this individual's true intentions. All he knew was that the poem had to do with an old acquaintance, Akihito.
Akihito had once belonged to the 5 Kasen. Each poem he composed, he marked with a scarlet red seal, hence the Aka in his name. Such a distinguished writer was he, and yet one of the poems he had submitted the previous year was found to be plagiarized. Akihito was exiled for his crimes, and only 4 of the 5 Kasen remained.
Sumizome went over Akihito's poems and noticed that the plagiarized poem lacked his seal. She immersed his poetry in a stream nearby, and only on the plagiarized poem did the ink run. Aoi no Okina passed by and witnessed Sumizome's doing, which he then recorded in a poem. Thus transpired the events of Suiko's poetry submission, and this is where the story comes to an end.
Wow. Ah, she's so pretty. Oh, Jesus. You seem upset, Paimon.
Yeah. Ever since we completed the story of the 5 Kasen, there's still one thing Paimon hasn't been able to figure out.
Who is the mystery person?
One of the 5 Kasen is called Kuronushi, right? It's just that, how could the story of the 5 Kasen finish without him appearing at all?
Oh! Have you really not noticed?
What?
Huh? Not noticed what?
Oh.
No time to be playing games, Tone Deaf Bard!
Oh.
Well, what he means is that the story of Kuronushi was already embedded within the 4 poems.
Huh? Really?
That's right. The key lies in the poem that Aoi no Okina wrote after seeing Sumizome rinsing the poetry collection. An average person could never understand the scene of a young girl washing Akihito's poetry collection in a stream. Even Aoi no Okina couldn't figure out the meaning behind Sumizome's actions. He was simply reminiscing and thinking about his old acquaintances. However, for the perpetrator who framed Akihito, it was completely obvious. He was worried that if this poem was seen by the Shogun, then the Shogun could discover the truth behind the plagiarism incident. If that happened, then he'd be finished. So, in desperation, he threatened Aoi no Okina to make him tear out this poem.
Which means, the one who threatened Aoi no Okina is the same person that framed Akihito!
The culprit is none other than Kuronushi?
What? Kuronushi?
That's right. Though there are only 4 poems, they still managed to tell the complete story of all 5 Kasen. Since the Shogun mentioned in the poems is certainly not the one of the 5 Kasen, the only character left is the mysterious one with an unknown identity.
Oh, okay.
However, this also brings something else to mind. The story of the 5 Kasen has more or less reflected everything that's been happening around us lately. Which begs the question, is there a Kuronushi in our world as well?
He's right there.
A Kuronushi? In our world?
Speaking of which, I wonder if our dear Kazuha has come up with anything.
I think he has.
Oh, right! Kazuha! He's been pretty quiet this whole time. Let's ask him.
Kazuha, you got some explaining to do.
Hey, Kazuha! Are you okay? You've been standing in front of this blank canvas for a while, and you don't look so good.
Apologies for making a wild assumption, but has the story of the 5 Kasen reminded you of anything?
Yes. A few things did come to mind, actually. However, they were nothing more than some past incidents regarding my family.
Your family?
I don't mind sharing the stories, but I'd prefer not to bring you any more trouble.
Hey, we're all friends here, Kazuha. You can always tell us whatever's on your mind.
Kaidehara, please
Oh.
forgive my assumption, but perhaps you were thinking of the Raiden Gokuden?
Raiden Gokuden?
Raiden Gokuden? What's that?
It appears that Miss Kamisato and I were thinking of the same thing.
Oh.
But it also has much to do with the Yashiro Commission. It would be improper to speak of it here without the consent of Miss Kamisato.
It's fine. Those of us here are all trustworthy, so there isn't any harm in it.
Are you sure?
However, this matter is somewhat complicated and may be difficult to explain. Let me start with the Raiden Gokuden. As you all know, the Yashiro Commission's primary purpose is managing ceremonial and cultural affairs, and Inazuma's art of forging swords is a very important part of our culture. The Raiden Gokuden were once the top 5 schools of the forging art in Inazuma. Although these families were swordsmiths by craft, they also held many important positions in the Yashiro Commission. Unfortunately, of the 5, only the Amenoma art still maintains its artisan lineage. The descendants of the Ishin art are also still alive, but the craft has been lost to time. The descendants of the Ishin art are none other than the Kaidehara family.
Wait, what?
Whoa! We knew Kazuha came from a noble family, but we had no idea about his connection to the Yashiro Commission and sword making.
Yes, but that's all part of the past now. The Ishin art was lost with my great-grandfather's generation. My grandfather was dissatisfied with my great-grandfather's lack of effort. When he was young, my grandfather traveled all over Tevat to find a way to revive the family business. But it was to no avail. And in my generation, our last remaining family property was lost as well.
I heard my elder brother mention that the decline of the Raiden Gokuden happened very rapidly. In the span of a few decades, 3 of the families suffered various misfortunes and disappeared completely.
What?
Later, there was speculation that all of these misfortunes stemmed from some background machinations, meaning that someone wanted to wipe out the Raiden Gokuden. However, since not every family of the Raiden Gokuden came to ruin, such explanations were treated as nothing more than a conspiracy theory.
Indeed. I've also believed such ideas were just theories and rumors. However, I know that a major incident happened to my great-grandfather when he was young. Not only did it affect the Kaedehara clan, but it nearly jeopardized the Kamisato clan's position in the Yashiro Commission as well. After reading the story of the 5 Kasen, I can't help but feel like it's pointing me toward the truth behind that incident.
What exactly happened to your great-grandfather, Kazuha?
I still can't say. I need to speak with someone to verify the details. Let's meet here again at noon tomorrow. I will tell you everything I know then.
Oh. Wow, that was Act 3.
Kazuha said he would wait for us at the 5 Kasen Plaza today. Let's go find him there.
Ah, you're here. It appears everyone has arrived.
How did your investigation go?
Last night, I visited a former servant who once worked for my family. I was able to learn the entirety of what happened all those years ago. In my great-grandfather's generation, the Ishin art was tasked with forging an important Goshinto according to an ancient forging diagram. Though all the craftsmen involved were very experienced, the process was still unsuccessful. Every blade that was forged was defective. When the deadline came, the blade still wasn't finished, so the craftsmen all fled and hid for fear of punishment. The Kaedahara clan and Yashiro Commission then conducted an investigation. My great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan eventually tracked down the craftsmen near the seaside. However, they met fierce resistance from the craftsmen, and in the end they were unable to prevent them from escaping by sea. The Kaedahara clan was severely punished for the swordsmiths that had escaped, and the family gradually fell into decline. Moreover, I heard that the head of the Kamisato clan was injured by the fleeing swordsmiths, which combined with his advanced age caused him to pass away shortly thereafter. The failure to forge the blade was ultimately attributed to a lack of required skill and finesse. The Kaedahara clan and the Yashiro Commission always believed that was the case. However, the story of the 5 Kasen seems to imply that the failure didn't stem from a lack of skill, but rather, the diagram had been tampered with by someone. Miss Kamisato, I heard yesterday that the Yashiro Commission has still kept the diagram ever since the failed forging all those years ago. Might I ask you to do me a favor?
No.
Yes, I understand. I will go back and search for the diagram. Please come meet me at the Kamisato estate later.
Got it. This is the last act. I didn't expect it to go by so quickly, but here we are. Haha.
Everyone, I've managed to find the old diagram.
Yay!
Though the diagram is well preserved, you can still tell that it's seen at least 3 or 4 centuries of history.
Whoa, that's pretty old. Is it still possible to find any evidence of tampering?
At this point, we can only try our luck and see how we fare.
Dip it in water. Oh! Oh my god.
Although the effect is not too obvious, you can still see that some words have now started to smudge. Kazuha, this is clear evidence that this chart was indeed tampered with. Someone framed the Kaedahara clan all those years ago.
What?
I see. But I fear that I've discovered this secret too late. When my grandfather was young, he proposed reviving the Ishin art many times to my great-grandfather. But my grandfather was only scolded for being too foolhardy. Yesterday, the former family servant said that my great-grandfather even went to the Yashiro Commission to request that diagram from the head of the Kamisato clan. He then showed that diagram to my grandfather and asked him and his subordinates to try to forge the sword. Sure enough, my grandfather also failed. My great-grandfather then told him, if you can't find the secret within,
Huh?
then the Ishin art deserves to fade from the world.
That's Ayato.
My grandfather left Inazuma in a rage after hearing those words. He didn't ever see my great-grandfather again.
Kazuha,
Oh.
did your great-grandfather really say, if you can't find the secret within? Did he use those exact words?
I don't know.
Yes. The servant said that he personally heard those words, and still remembers them very clearly. My grandfather was so angry at the time that he smashed my great-grandfather's cherished bonsai tree. Oh, so you're saying my great-grandfather may have very well known that the failure was due to someone's tampering?
Yes. The current evidence suggests that is highly likely.
Uh-huh.
The Tenryou Commission seized my family's last remaining estate, which contained all of my family's old belongings.
Oh.
I want to inquire about the whereabouts of those belongings. If I can find them, we might be able to get some clues.
Alright, let's get moving.
Let's go. Here we are.
What are you all doing here?
Oh my god.
Did something happen on Rito?
We're just here to ask you about some...
Kujo Sara. Perhaps you still remember me.
She's like, how could I forget you?
Yes, I do. You're Kaedehara Kazuha, a wanted criminal during the Vision Hunt decree.
Oh.
However, your arrest warrant has since been repealed.
Uh-huh.
Sora, we'd like to ask about the Kaedehara clan's property that was seized by the Tenryou Commission. Do you know where all their belongings are now?
Yes, the items seized at that time are currently stored in the warehouse next to the police station. Since Kaedehara has come back to Inazuma, those items should be returned to their rightful owner.
Ah, you must be here to investigate the Kaedehara clan's belongings. Madame Kujo's already informed me of the situation. Please, come this way. The Kaedehara clan's belongings are stored in this warehouse. Unfortunately, the items are scattered throughout in order to save space. My deepest apologies.
Since the items are scattered throughout the building, I propose we split up and look for clues.
What's going on?
Oh, it's you. I'm currently investigating the sword rack.
Oh, since the Kaedehara clan was a family of renowned swordsmiths, then this blade should be super valuable, right? Maybe it's a treasure of the Ishin art!
I'm afraid not.
Oh.
Although the sword rack is made of fine wood, the swords placed here appear to be quite ordinary. Due to the dire financial situation of the late Kaedehara clan, everything of value has probably been sold off already. The blade on the sword hasn't been sharpened, but there are many signs of use on the hilt. Perhaps Kaedehara used it for training as a child.
Oh, it's you. Unfortunately, I have yet to find anything of value here.
Whoa, this folding screen looks pretty old, though.
Yes, perhaps if it were better maintained, then it could fetch a decent price. However, I doubt it could be sold in its current condition. I was taking a closer look just now and noticed a large piece of dirt caught in the fabric fibers on the back side. The soil is deeply embedded into the cloth. That means a great deal of force was used when the dirt was lodged into the cloth. It's likely that this patch of dirt is from the very flower pot thrown by Kazuha's grandfather.
Oh, jeez.
What did you find, Shinjo?
I found quite the pile of old books. These books here are all related to smelting steel, and these are about the process of forging blades. This pile over here is all about plants and flowers.
The books about plants and flowers must have belonged to Kazuha's great-grandfather.
There must be some around here somewhere.
You better not be looking for sake.
Do you see all these pots here? Some of them are bound to have liquor inside,
Ugh.
right?
Everyone, I've found something that you should all have a look at.
What?
This flower pot was in my house for a long time. I heard that it was left behind by my great-grandfather.
Yeah, the plants seem to have been dead for a while now.
After my great-grandfather stopped studying the forging arts, he picked up the hobby of keeping bonsai plants. But he specifically left behind this dead plant at the time, and even instructed my grandfather not to throw it away in his will.
We finally found something! It's only a bunch of blank paper.
Dip it in water, girl, I'm telling you.
You mean to say that these sheets have been written with special ink, like that which Miss Kamisato found before?
Yes, I agree with this hypothesis.
Well, how did it go? Those weren't just plain old sheets of paper, were they?
They were.
Just as everyone guessed, after I sprinkled some water onto the paper, writing did indeed begin to appear on it. It is a letter, written by my great-grandfather.
A letter?
Oh? What does the letter say?
It is. I'll tell you what my great-grandfather knew at the time, but before that, I wish to take you somewhere. Everyone, please follow me.
Kazuha?
Kaedehara, why did you lead us to this beach?
Is this the place related to the contents of
It
the
is.
letter?
In fact, my great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan tracked the fleeing swordsmiths to this very location.
Oh.
Our hypothesis was correct. My great-grandfather was well aware of the truth behind the defective blades. And it was right here where they encountered the culprit who framed the Kaedehara clan and the Raiden Gokaden. It reads, To whoever reads this letter, I, Kaedehara Yoshinori, have been held to a certain secret throughout my entire life. I don't have much longer in this world, and after much consideration, I finally decided to disclose the matter. All those years ago, when I was pursuing the swordsmiths alongside Commissioner Kamisato of the Yashiro Commission, I was not injured by one of the fleeing smiths. Rather,
it was night, and after the clues led us down to shore, I waited for the culprits to show themselves. However, there were no swordsmiths in sight, only a single eccentric stranger. This stranger claimed to be the one behind the failed forgings, and said that he had been patiently waiting for us. He then threatened to destroy the Raiden Gokaden. That person was of able body, and in a blink of an eye, myself and the accompanying samurai had been defeated. Commissioner Kamisato was severely wounded, and I barely escaped death myself. My hat had fortunately blunted a blow to my head. The unusual stranger could have easily claimed my life at that moment. But, after noticing my appearance, he stopped his attacks and sternly asked if I had any connection with the name Niwa. I answered that it was my father's surname, and after my father disappeared, I was adopted by the Kaedehara family.
What?
Upon hearing my answer, the stranger paused. After a long silence, he suddenly said, "Tell her this. My name is Kunikuzushi." He then turned and left.
What?
Wow. So that's what really happened.
yes. My great-grandfather and the head of the Kamisato clan escaped from death and learned that the forging diagram had been tampered with by Kunikuzushi. However, due to the encounter, the head of the Kamisato clan was worried that my great-grandfather would be falsely accused of being involved with the perpetrator. So even on his deathbed, the master of the Kamisato clan cautioned my great-grandfather to never speak of what happened, because the perpetrator said he would destroy the Raiden Gokaden. My great-grandfather worried that the perpetrator would still return for vengeance. So, to protect his loved ones, he closed the family business.
Oh, jeez.
He said, "As the leader of the Kaedehara clan, I am deeply ashamed to witness the decline of the Isshin art. But as a father, it is my priority to ensure the safety of my children and grandchildren. If my grandpa had somehow discovered the secret behind the tampered diagram all those years ago, perhaps my great-grandfather would have told him the truth. Unfortunately, he failed to catch any of the hints in my great-grandfather's words."
It's Scaramouche.
I will discuss this matter with Brother shortly, and investigate the identity behind the one called Kunikuzushi. Rest assured, we will act cautiously.
Therefore, knowing the truth behind what happened is enough for me. That being said, if the enemy from all those years ago is still lurking and plotting to stir up more trouble, then I definitely won't turn a blind eye.
Now that we're done here, let's head back to Rito.
Hello, traveler. Paimon?
Albedo, why is the portrait of Kuranushi all covered up? Paimon wants to see what your Kuranushi portrait looks like.
Don't worry. The unveiling ceremony will be starting shortly. You'll see what it looks like then.
Who is it? Can we see? Can we see? Bro, there's nobody.
Everyone, welcome to the magnificent Irodori Festival. Today, we have ushered in the final stage of our festival. And now we will reveal the final portrait of the 5 Kasen, Kuranushi, which was done by none other than our guest artist from Mondstadt, Calx.
Calx.
Paimon has no idea what Albedo's portrait looks like. Oh, this is so nerve-wracking.
Let's all count down together. 3, 2, 1.
1.
What's this? This piece depicts nothing but a background!
You just need to add water,
I
homeboy.
suppose Calx must have forgotten to include the character. Let's hear some words from Calx himself regarding the creative process behind this piece.
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to say that it was an honor to be invited to create the portraits of the 5 Kassen. The 5 Kassen are legendary figures from ancient Inazuma, famous for their works of poetry. As time passed, poems were composed about them, and they became the subjects of many stories. I learned from existing sources about those stories that the character of Kuronushi is the deepest and most differing of the 5 Kassen. Moreover, Kuronushi lacks a dedicated chapter among the stories. It's as if he is a behind-the-scenes role of the 5 Kassen. Perhaps we can assume that every creator had a different understanding of Kuronushi. So, in the same way, I also wanted to leave this character to everyone's own imagination. After all, the Irodori Festival is a place for everyone to express their minds through creative works.
Yep, that's Albedo for ya. His super logical explanation is sure to win everyone's approval. Well, it seems that our adventures at the Irodori Festival have come to a close.
Aren't you forgetting something?
Huh? What are you talking about? Oh. Oh, right! We still haven't figured out who left those stories of the 5 Kassen for us to find. Really?
I think I
Come
know
on,
who
then.
it
Who
is.
Tell Paimon!
First, it's someone that knows every one of
Well,
us.
that makes sense. Otherwise, there'd be no way to give the right paper to the right person every time.
Also, they're connected with the Katahara clan.
Right. Even though they were using stories to hint us toward Shincho's troubles, the real goal was to lead us to solve the secrets of the Kaitahara clan.
Is it Raiden?
Paimon gets it now. Well, at least Paimon thinks she knows. Let's go! We'll get to the bottom of this.
What? Look for that person. It's obviously Yaemiko, right? She is a trickster after all. Is it? Ayato? It's either Ayato or Yaemiko. I want to say Yaemiko because she's been alive that long.
The one who left the stories of the 5 Kassen. I'm afraid you guessed wrong, Paimon. It wasn't me.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
I thought for sure you'd be the sneaky and tricky one.
For real.
But seeing as you stumbled upon me, you aren't far from finding that person now. Because other than me, there's only one person left.
It's Kamisato.
Ayato! You're the one behind the stories of the 5 Kassen. But don't you think you overdid it a little? Leading all your friends on a wild hunt like that?
As it just so happens, one of the reasons I'm here today is to explain the details behind this wild hunt.
It was him.
Paimon wants to see how you'll explain yourself out of this one.
First of all, the start of this whole incident was due to mere happenstance. You see, Lady Yai happened to catch sight of Shincho and the editor carrying the books away one night. She thought it was interesting, so she asked me to tease them a bit.
What?
So it was Miko after all!
Oh my god.
Paimon knew it! This thing had Miko written all over it!
That's right. But using the story of the 5 Kassen to guide you to the Kaedahara family's secrets was my personal touch. As for my roundabout approach, well, that was something which I had no choice but to do.
You had no choice?
Yes. Due to a certain incident that occurred earlier, I happened to notice the bonsai plants left behind by Kaedahara Yoshinori, as well as the blank papers hidden inside. I knew there was more than meets the eye regarding those papers, but it took me some time to figure out the secret behind the ink, the kind that would only appear when exposed to water. What Kaedahara Yoshinori said in the letter is very important for both the Kamisato clan and the descendants of the Kaedahara clan, especially Kazuha. The Kaedahara clan used to be subordinates of the Kamisato clan. It was my ancestors who were unable to protect them all those years ago. So now, this obligation fell on my shoulders. Although he has the right to know the truth, the closer he draws to things hidden out of sight, the closer he also draws to danger. I had to confirm whether Kazuha has both the will and ability to be privy to the truth. Of course, I could outright tell him the truth that I had discovered, but maybe he doesn't have the will that's required. In that case, the truth would only become a burden to him. If he lacks the ability, then he wouldn't be able to find the truth in the first place. I yearned for a suitable opportunity to convey this matter, right up until the night when a legend of sword was smuggled away.
Oh, Paimon gets it now.
But why was everyone else involved too?
Yeah, it wasn't only Kazuha. You brought all of the rest of us into this plan of yours.
I figured you would ask this question eventually. I merely saw that this matter would be of value to you. And more importantly, I hoped that while Kazuha and Ayaka were looking for the answers together, they would have some reliable friends by their side.
So who was Kushi?
You already know the answer deep down inside, don't you? The answer is actually hidden in the portrait of Kuranushi. When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eyes. As for the means of revealing that answer, well, you have used it many times before.
It's getting pretty late, so nobody else is around now. So Ayato must have been telling us to splash water on the portrait, right?
Let's go for it. 2. Oh.
It's the Balladeer!
Oh, Jesus.
So he was the one behind the trouble all those years ago!
When there is no one else near the portrait, you can confirm with your own eyes. As for the means of revealing that answer, well, you have used it many times before. Also, there's one last thing that we must discuss.
What?
I mentioned earlier that the occurrence of a certain incident made me notice the bonsai plants. I wish to tell you of that incident now. It was just after the Shogun announced the abolition of the Sakoku decree. I heard that something had happened at the Tenryou Commission. They had discovered signs that someone had entered the warehouse storing the Commission's articles of evidence and confiscated items. But nothing was stolen. I felt something unusual about that incident, so I told Kujo-Sara of the Tenryou Commission to treat it as if nothing happened. She was not to increase the guard or relocate the warehouse contents. In the meantime, I sent a member of the Shumatsuban to keep watch over the warehouse. And sure enough, someone was sneaking in and rummaging through the belongings of the Kaedahara clan.
You mean, he was also looking for...
I let him search for a while, but in the end, he found nothing. Soon after, he had to leave Inazuma by boat.
Why didn't you send someone to catch him?
The best way to protect a secret is to treat it as if it doesn't exist, is it not? Besides, the identity of this person is not hard to guess. After he left Inazuma, I carefully checked the Kaedahara clan's belongings one by one, and eventually discovered the papers in the hidden compartment of the flower pot. I am certain that the papers are the secret which the infiltrator sought to find, though he couldn't confirm whether this secret existed at all. So, now on to my final question. Which part of Kaedahara Yoshinori's experiences was the secret that needed to be protected? I don't have an answer to this question at present, so I'll leave it to your future self. As for now, please, enjoy yourselves at the Irodori Festival.
What in the world? To be continued. It's literally... Oh my god.
Cascade!
Oh my god, it reveals it, huh? Oh jeez. Well, that concludes this festival event. And yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. I didn't think it would end up being all about Kaedahara and his like family and his past and stuff. And then freaking Scaramouche is back. Well, he's not back, but I guess he had a role in it, and geez, there's just a lot of questions still, you know. But overall, it was a pretty good event, you know. Had like characters and stuff, and had a bunch of twists and turns in it, and yeah, I think I pretty much enjoyed it. I'll probably do all of the like mini games and stuff off camera because those look like they're gonna take a while, but I just wanted to get like the main story out, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. If you guys watched this far into the video, I appreciate it, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.